Satnam. Today I want to start introducing you to the Kriya that we're working on this month, which is the Kriya to awaken the 10 bodies. And these 10 bodies, though you might think that you're only a physical body, in the teachings of Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan, Yogi Bhajan brought, in addition to the regular chakras that are along the spine, that are energy centers that are really important for our consciousness as human beings, he brought the teachings of the 10 bodies. And these 10 bodies, you can think of them as archetypal parts of you. So they're facets of your human self that allow you to be full and complete as a human being. So each soul, each body has a potential, and that potential can either be a strength or it can be in a deficit form. And this Kriya, awakening the 10 bodies, is a really great way to keep your 10 bodies nice and healthy and strong. And I want to add also that every Kriya that we do in Kundalini Yoga is always working on the 10 bodies. So if you have a really good committed practice, you will actually be able to balance those 10 bodies and keep them nice and strong. So the idea, once again, is that these 10 bodies really support you to self-regulate, which is ultimately what I have found is the gift of Kundalini Yoga. So as a yoga of awareness, we are always awakening to what is alive in us at that moment and being able to then use our tools and practices to be able to strengthen anything that we're feeling deficit from or amplifying what is really supportive. So the 10 bodies, we begin with the soul body. We then move into this three body team, which has to do with our mental energies, and they're the negative mind, the positive mind, and the neutral mind all work together. And then we move into the physical body. And from the physical body, so this is kind of like the cocoon, and then the next set of 5 bodies is really kind of like your more etheric. I mean, they're all etheric, but these last 5 are really primarily very etheric, that are really supporting you. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so you have the arc line, the arc body. And then you have your auric body. You have your pranic body, as well as your subtle body. And then finally, the radiant body. And the radiant body is a magnificent field of energy. You can think of your radiance, right? So the stronger your radiance, the stronger your capacity to uplift yourself and those around you, the stronger your capacity to be present in the face of negativity and lift rather than be caught into it. So all of these have these kind of hidden jewels, and I will be talking more about that specifically. But for now, just know that there's 10 bodies, and then this Kriya works on all 10 bodies. And what I want to do for this video is I want to just walk you through some pieces that I have found in my practice to be really supportive, as far as rooting, as far as the practice of your navel center. And in Kundalini Yoga, we emphasize the navel center a lot because the navel point, which is an etheric energy point below, a little bit below the navel and in, and it's actually, you can find it in Eastern traditions. So in the Chinese realm, if you do martial arts, they would call it the dantian. But this energy center, this navel point, is really important because all 72,000 nerves of your body move through that navel point. And one of the things that Yogi Bhajan talked about was that when this center is strong, you have a capacity to access your resources. You have vitality. And so it's really important to keep that navel point really nice and strong. Also because it helps you use your energy system more effectively. So as we balance that navel point, as we strengthen the navel point, we consolidate our energy body. We can direct our energy body more effectively, is the way that I understand it. And and you can really feel the difference. So this really is working with the Kundalini energy as well, which is a vital health, like really powerful field of energy that vitalizes your entire body system, your chakras, clears, and gives you access to your natural resources. So, the first pose that we have in the 10 bodies that I want to really cover, because I know when I first started with stretch pose, it was really challenging until I really got the sense of rooting. So, what I want to do today is just give you a sense of what I have found to be really supportive around the posture of stretch pose that helps me then release the unnecessary tension and focus on what I call the right effort. So ideally, I want to first show you the ideal and I want to walk you through some of the mechanics, and then I want to offer you some guidance on how you can navigate stretch pose to be really supportive for you. So you're on your back, and what you're going to do is it's all about the navel, right? So everything is at the core. And so what you want to do is you want to think of pressing the tailbone away from you, which draws the navel towards the floor so that you have a really nice solid structure to support your body and the posture that your body holds. And the first thing that you do is you want to make sure that your heels are together and you're lengthening the fingertips towards the toes, which brings the body, the head up. And then you can really anchor and root in this foundation. And then you just lift the feet. So stretch pose is ideally 6 inches off the floor with the heels and 6 inches off the floor with the head, which might be a little bit higher, but it's kind of, you're really in this stretch posture. Your navel is really engaged, your eyes are open, and you're doing breath of fire in this posture. Okay, so that's the ideal. I always want to say strive and stay connected with what the ideal is, but just be where you need to be, bringing your excellence into that place. So the first thing that I want to do if my navel point is not very strong is just to support my lower back. So you're still going to be able to do this, right? You can relax the shoulders, bring the chin in, and you're engaging in this posture. And then if this is really intense, especially if you're feeling a lot of strain in your lower back and you're just not there yet, just bring one leg up and stay there for half time. The thing that I have found to be key to work your way into these more difficult poses is to just commit fully. Bring your excellence forth to what you can do and then really anchor into that, because what we're wanting to do is maintain the force of the action so that things can happen in our body system. And then you would switch. I see a lot of people doing this kind of swimmy thing, and really that won't help you because you're not really grounded and committed into the posture that way. You will feel a lot of tension and tightness in the neck and shoulder area if you happen to hold a lot of tension in those areas. So just relax the head, but keep going. Keep the navel engaged and then bring it back. So that will help you release slowly, but the posture will help you release any tightness and tension eventually anyways. So that is stretch pose. Then we move into tuck pose. So tuck pose, same thing. You're really, I think the thing that I hear more and more of people is the neck and shoulder area. So once again, if you're finding that there's just so much tension building up for you, bring it down, relax it, and come right back up. And what I like to think of is relax the shoulders, bring the chin in so that the head can hold itself
rather than you thinking that you have to will your head to come up, which then adds just unnecessary action. Now, from here, we move into Ego Eradicator. And Ego Eradicator is this phenomenal posture that really opens your radiance. It opens your heart. It gets energy moving. It strengthens the nervous system. It gives you the capacity to contain yourself, is what I have discovered from this pose, so that you can stay calm. And I think, for me, the way I interpret Ego Eradicator, it's like you're stabilizing your strength and your energy field so that you can then show up and not get caught, or that you know where you stand and you don't have to try to become or pretend or anything like that. So as always, you are sitting into the sit bones. So important when we do any kind of arm movement, right? So the difference of sitting into your sit bones versus collapsing back. Again, if you find that you just, because it takes a lot of power to sit into your sit bones. So what you want to do is, I always encourage you to tuck a pillow or a blanket. And what that'll do is it'll just give you enough support to lift and keep that pelvis, rather than rocking back. Keep it stable so that you can have the heart above the pelvis, above the head. So what happens is, when I do this, you'll notice that my arms will, like, automatically, right? My head is the heaviest thing in my body. My head will come forward. My arms will come inside. I'm like, suddenly, like, I'm putting a lot of pressure into a lot of areas that are not meant to be pressurized that way. So I'm really wanting to sit up so that I can then hold my arms without having to struggle and hold them. And I'll walk you through that. But the biggest thing is, you really, again, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You want to be just up in 60 degrees with the chin in, rather than out, rather than the head down. So I'm just showing you side view of all the things that can happen where you just are invited to open your awareness to your body. So the mudra, if it works for you, some of you might have arthritis, some of you just may not be, but again, use what I'm sharing as the thing that you want to keep in your mind's eye to allow your body to be where it is. And then just come with excellence, knowing that you're there. It's the attitude. So you're folding those fingers so that the pads of the fingers hit the top of the palm. And then your thumb, this is a very engaged mudra. So I'm actually pressing my fingers away from my thumb as my thumb presses away from the fingers. So I'm bringing my arms, I like to do this all the time. So straight up, I'm going to go a little bit back so that you can see the full. Okay, so I like to start off just straight up, because that gives me, what I find is that when I relax, when I draw the shoulders down so that the arms can hold themselves, then it naturally falls into 60 degrees. Your eyes are closed, focused inward at the brow point, and you're really trying to press those fingers away from the thumbs, and the thumbs pressing powerfully away from the fingers. So your elbows are straight as you possibly can comfortably make them. And again, your chin is at a right angle. You're in neck lock so that you can keep the head above the heart, above the hips. So you are holding this posture in your own excellence in breath of fire. So I want to just show you a side angle so that you can vision it for yourself as to what it is that you're looking for. So again, sitting into the sit bones, right? Bringing the arms up, opening them, allowing those shoulders to draw down. That's the key, to keep those arms up on their own rather than you having to struggle with them. And then you notice that the chin is slightly inward rather than down, rather than up, rather than out. It's really tucked in so that I can feel a lengthening in the upper spine. Your eyes are focused inward and you're doing breath of fire here. You can see that I'm really breathing from the navel. Everybody thinks that, well, I also, when I first started, I didn't realize, but you breathe through your nose, I always thought I breathed through my nose. And the reality is that you breathe through your navel because your navel is engaging the diaphragm. So you're actually breathing. I like to think of my navel as my pump that causes breath to flow in and out of my nostrils. And if you think of it that way, you can just relax the breath and then focus on this kind of nice little pump, which is why in Kundalini Yoga, commonly you'll see that breath of fire is introduced as a panting dog. Because when you pant, you're actually doing that on its own. So there's something for you to consider. Now, moving along, we're going to be doing these life nerve stretches. Once again, reminding you to sit into the sit bones. It's easy, very common that I see that it's easy to collapse into this posture because, again, it takes a lot of strength to be here. Don't be fooled. There's a lot of energy that I'm investing and pressing down so that I can sit. But again, it's relaxed, right? I've developed the muscle toning and everything through my practice. You don't have to do anything more than your practice. You want to keep your knees on the mat and you want to keep your legs active because if they're floppy, guess what happens? You flop. So you want to keep them nice and active and solid and stable. And again, if you need extra assistance, just tuck that pillow or that blanket right at the base of the spine, and that will help you, right? So the great thing about the sheepskin is you can use it for a lot of things. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be, arms are up, palms are facing each other, and once again, draw the shoulders down so that you can really think of lengthening. You're pressing down through the tailbone, lengthening up through the crown of the head. Your eyes are closed, inhaling center. Exhale as you lengthen towards the left rather than collapsing down. Right? It's a very different energy. Lengthening, inhale center, lengthening. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Do the best you can to keep those ears next to the arms so that the elbows are as straight as you comfortably can. You're really moving and powering the movement from the navel. Again, it's all navel work, right? So that is the ideal. Be where you are as always. Bring your excellence into what you do. The right effort pieces here as to the best of your knowledge, your capacity. Sit into the sit bones, root. Feel yourself rooted and really moving from that navel power. And then keep the legs extended so that the knees are on the floor. Then we move into this other posture that is still a life nerve stretch. I'll just move a little bit this way so you can see it a little bit better. We're extending forward. The chin is in. Again, it's easy to want to do this because you always want to look forward. But then think of your spine as this amazing divine alignment where you are rooted in the earth and extending out to heaven, to the cosmos. So you are lengthened. When you, I like to think of it as a hose. That's a really good metaphor. So if your hose is closed, then the energy can't move along the spine. Remember, you have a cerebral spinal fluid, which is really powerful. Your brain gets washed and cleared, and there's a lot of reasons why you want that. That'll be on another video. Yet, you really want to think of lengthening rather than collapsing, and you want to think of having neck lock applied, chin tucked in, not down, not up, but drawn in so that you can feel that there is like one, ideally, just a nice flow from the base of the spine to the top of the head. So if it works for you, you're going to grasp your toes. If not, you're going to grasp wherever you land that's extended. And you are still feeling yourself rooted in through your sit bones. Your hands are anchored wherever they are. And you're going to inhale and exhale. Shoulders are relaxed, eyes are closed, focused inward. Okay? Then from here, we're going to move into camel ride. I'm going to stay right here. So again, for those of you who have heard me say this over and over, just remember, camel ride is very similar to riding on a horse. Most of the action is a lower body action. What I see commonly is this upper kind of like, pendulum moving from the top of the body. You really want to think of yourself as using your action of your body, right? So your chin is at a right angle. If you are not applying neck lock, what'll happen is you'll actually move your head up and down. So what we want to do is we want to stabilize the head. Remember, keep the hose open for the prana to move. You want to keep your chin at a right angle to the body. Your hands are at the shins. And what you're doing here is, as I come forward, I'm pressing the navel forward. I'm pulling back with the arms. Automatically what happens is that my chest rises and lifts to the sky. And then I exhale back, stretching in, right? Don't be afraid to stretch in your maximum. Remember, in every pose, pain-free range of motion. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Shoulders are relaxed. Chin stays at a right angle. So you can get a really nice opening in the spinal column. Okay? What can happen a lot is that sometimes, like you'll find that, it's a very small and kind of stiff movement. Really want to invite you to relax into it, where you're really stretching into it by pressing the navel in to push all the air out, right? So I don't know, I call this the Kundalini yoga breath because I don't see it anywhere else. But the idea is that you're doing full inhales and exhales, and you're moving the breath through the navel power, right? So as you inhale, this is relaxed, so it can really fill. Generally, this pushes all the air out. So they sound like small sniff breaths, but they're actually not. They're just the action of the navel, opening and pushing. So this is your balloon that's just allowing breath to come in, and then this back one is just kind of pushing everything out. So you're moving with a nice rhythmic fluid movement. And then the next one, and actually the next series of 5 poses, are actually done in rock pose ideally. And rock pose is not ideal for many people. Be where you are with it. So we're going to do the same thing, camel ride, but this time in rock pose. So ideally you're sitting on your heels, and this may not necessarily be the best place for you because it feels, you're stretching quite a bit here, and you are also seated on your heels, which can sometimes be uncomfortable. So to make it a little bit more comfortable, if this is an option for you as a posture, what you can do, 2 things. If you're really feeling too much of a stretch on your feet, you can take just a rolled up blanket or something, and then place your feet there so that they're not so lengthened, so that they're where you need them to be. And then you grab another pillow or a blanket and you tuck it right underneath. So that gives you a lot more comfort, and you're still rooted pressing down, right? So you're still rooted, and you can open your knees a little bit to give you a little bit more stability. So same thing, remember, you want to keep your hands solid. You want to just press navel forward and back. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. So notice that I'm still really stretching into it. And again, really just kind of watch for this kind of movement. It's not that you have to be perfect at it. It's that you're really just kind of allowing more of that midsection of the spine to be really stretched and moving. So it's not Kundalini yoga is not something that you have to be perfect at. It's just these are invitations of awareness that I'm offering you. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do is we are going to do lateral flexibility of the spine. And I really like to open my knees a little bit more on this. Everything, remember, moving from the navel, fingers forward, thumbs back, chin in. Shoulders are relaxed. You're inhaling left, exhaling right. Head moves with the arms, with the torso. So the head is simply just part of the torso. And the head is not moving really. The torso is moving, so the head goes with it. Then from here, we have a real fun one. So same posture, fingers forward, thumbs back. And what you're doing, you want to stay in the same posture. You want to bring your wrists as best as you can together and then come back to the starting posture, which is parallel to the floor. You want to do it side, well, first behind, so that you can see what it looks like from behind. So even if you're not able to touch those wrists, it's that, again, it's just continue to inhale up, exhale down. And what I want to show you is the side view. So if you're finding yourself that you're doing this kind of a thing, that's not really going to help you to release tension and tightness. And you don't have to do that because you just want to allow your own body to open up to new possibilities. So you're just really allowing yourself to keep that neck lock and doing the best that you can to just get to that posture. And if you start feeling a lot of tension and pain and discomfort, just bring it down, shake it out, and come right back into it. You will eventually, my experience has been, you will eventually move all of that tightness out of the body so that you can start doing new possibilities in that. And it just comes through the practice, the presence, the excellence that you bring into your practice. So it's not the what, it's the how of what you do that matters. And then from here, what we're going to do is we actually are... I know this Kriya really well, and obviously, yes, that was exactly what I was going to say. Okay, so the Paul Bunyan chop. That is not what it's called, but since I live in Bemidji, Paul Bunyan. Okay, so interlacing fingers, elbows straight. We're going to do 2 movements, keeping the chin, rooting in. Knees are a little bit slightly open to give you more stability. Inhale straight up with the arms. Exhale down. Notice that you're really rooted so that you're really contained and that the movement is coming through the breath. So once again, chin at a right angle and neck lock rather than out, rather than kind of going up and down, rather than doing this whole movement with the body. The more I have found that the more I bend the elbows, the more I have to work because I actually have to bring my arms up and down. So if you think of yourself as really just keeping those arms really nice and solid, that will actually really help a lot. The other thing that I see is sometimes there will be like this overextension with the arms and bring it down. So it's easy because you have a lot of momentum to go way back. But you really want to think of right above the head. Again, no precise science. It's just more like an awareness. And then we're going to come into alternate shoulder shrugs. Sitting in easy pose. And I forgot to mention, of course, as always, if you need to come out of rock pose at some point, just go into easy pose and modify from there. Hands are on the knees. We start inhale left, exhale right. Seesaw motion, so you're just inhaling and exhaling. So the cue that I like to give here is that sometimes I see kind of this, because you're just, or either like a side swinging, right? You really want to try as best as you can to isolate. So don't worry so much about being huge with your movements. Bring intention and awareness to your movements. And your attention gives the awareness, and the body follows your mental awareness. So if I give awareness to my movement at the shoulders, right, and imagine myself like really that the shoulders are just simply moving through the breath, it relaxes more of the movement so that I can really just allow it to flow a little bit more rhythmically without having to bring all of me into it. Especially this is really exhausting, because it's a lot of work. Right effort. We're going to do that round, and then we're going to do reverse. So right, left, right, inhale, left, exhale. Then from there, we do thyroid and parathyroid opening. Chin at a right angle. I'm going to go to the side. So inhale left, exhale right, sitting into the sit bones. And again, really just moving nice and fluid, however you are able to move, and as expansive as you can move, using the breath. Inhaling left, exhaling right. Inhaling sat, exhaling nam, always in your mind. And then we're going to do the reverse. Inhale right, exhale left. So again, things to pay attention to is sit in the sit bones. And finally, we end with frog pose. So frog pose can be pretty challenging depending on where you are. If you have problems with your knees, respect yourself. So in my teacher trainings, we were told Yogi Bhajan never gave modifications. If you can't do it, be in corpse pose. I like to invite you to have possibilities that you can imagine so that you can really open. And I'm just going to invite you what is in the practice of Kundalini Yoga, as we invite you to bring your excellence forward. Do what you can, be at your best attitude, and then let that be powerful. So again, it's not the what you do, it's the how of what you do. So I'm going to show you the ideal, and then I'm going to show you a couple of things that I have found that have worked really well for others. And corpse pose is a beautiful place to be if nothing is going to work, because you want to stay pain-free and you want to respect your body. So ideally, 2 movements. Ideally, the heels are together. Fingertips are on the floor, always between the knees. So in this starting posture, right, my chin is in, so I'm not closing my hose. I'm keeping it open. And my eyes are going to be closed, rolled up, focused inward at the brow point, if that works for me. Sometimes you might need to open them, and that's okay. What you're going to do is, on the inhale, you're going to lift the hips up, the head comes down, but notice that my heels ideally are still up. On the exhale, you come down. And it's intended to be an assertive movement. So you're coming down. This is it's opening up the first chakra and the lower body.
one of the first things is if you are not able to keep the heels together, then just open them up a little bit more, make it more comfortable for yourself. But remember, keep those heels up. I find that if you can keep the heels together, it locks you. And so you can actually do this movement much easier. So I want to show it to the side so that you can see kind of what it looks like from the side. So again, you're not really collapsed, right? If I collapse, then I kind of fall back. So I want to keep my heart open, fingertips, chin in, inhale up, heels are still up, exhale down. What I see most commonly is this. So remember, as the hips come down, the head rises. So I'm really keeping that spine open. Okay? The thing that I have found that's a really good next option is some people can do this really well, except that they can't go all the way down to the floor. So if you use something that gives you a little bit more height, you can just modify it by allowing yourself to do this movement. So even if you're doing it a little bit smaller, right, the coordination of the breath, I think, is the most important thing. So remember that exhaling is down, inhaling is up. So as your head is down, inhale. As your head rises, exhale. I think that's it for you as far as the main Kriya. Now what I want to do is go over the meditation. And Laya Yoga meditation, really powerful meditation. There are so many things happening in this meditation. There is breath, there is sound, there is visualization, and there are body locks. So what I like to say is start where you are. Begin at the easiest place. So if it's on the mantra, then start with the mantra. Feel into and get used to the mantra, and then move into the next thing, and then add the next thing. So allow yourself to open to all levels of the consciousness of all the pieces of the practice. There is a rhythm, and I'm actually going to do a video specifically for Laya Yoga because it is a really powerful meditation. But I just want to touch base on this video for that so that you have that. So we are, okay, well, the mantra. Ek Ong Kar. Ek Ong Kar. That's Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Wahe Guru. For now, just know that those are the words. Like I said, I'm going to do a video where I talk about the mantra, where I talk about the visual, just kind of like more going a little bit deeper into that particular meditation. For now, let's just practice the words. Ek, E-K, Ek. Ong, O-N-G, Kar, Ek Onkar. Now, because we're doing body locks, it's actually going to have an at the end. So, Ek Onkar, Satnam, which you know really well, Sri, Wahe Guru. So that's kind of like all the words. Now, I think once I play the rhythm or, sing the rhythm, you'll find it a little bit easier. So, Ek Onkar, Satnam Sri Wahe Guru. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Wahe Guru. Now the is really coming because of the body locks that I'm doing. So I want to move into the body locks. First thing I'm going to show you. So I'm going to place my hands at the navel and at the diaphragm so that you can see what's happening. When I say ek, I'm kind of drawing. Ek naturally brings your navel in, right? Ek, it's a powerful movement. So ek Onkar So I am keeping my navel in throughout the entire mantra. You're not locking it. You're not like doing a really powerful, you're just practicing coordinating the movement. It doesn't matter if it's small, it's the intention that guides the body to get there. So, ek, draw the navel in, you contain it. Omkar, I'm pulling the diaphragm. So it might take you a while to pull the diaphragm, and it's okay. Now I'm pulling and relaxing, but I'm still keeping the navel in as opposed to relaxing, okay? So ek omkar satnam siriva he guru. The sound of the mantra actually invites the navel pulsing so that you can actually do the locks, and automatically the mantra will help you relax the diaphragm so that you can relax the lock. So you don't have to put a lot of thinking into it. It's more getting the feel for it. Ekonkar Satnam Sriva Hey Guru. Hey Guru, you kind of like lay it all out. You're relaxing, but you don't clump, right? You don't just like fall and disintegrate. No, you stay rooted. You stay rooted. You stay with your heart open, your shoulders relaxed, your chin in. So that all stays stable throughout the entire thing. Ekonkar Satnam Siriva He Guru. Ekonkar Satnam Siriva He Guru. Ekonkar Satnam Siriva He Guru. You'll get the rhythm, you'll feel it, you'll feel into it, and then you'll really be flowing with it. But that's the idea. And then finally, the visualization. So I have found, so there's 3.5 spirals. So it's kind of like 3 spirals, 3 full spirals, and then 1 half out. If you think of this energy spiraling around your spinal column and then out through the crown of the head, when you do ek, you draw the energy in, it starts moving the energy. So the first spiral is at the navel, and then the second spiral is at the heart, and then the third spiral is at the throat, and then it winds out through the third eye and up. So it's bathing all of the chakras. It's bathing all of the chakras, and it's engaged by the body lock. So you can think of it as the body lock opens the gate for the flow of the energy to move, and every is one cycle. He Guru is the out. So Ekonkar Satnam Siriva He Guru. 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 That's kind of the feel. So those are all the pieces of this Kriya. I hope that you take this Kriya and you work with it, because it's a really wonderful way to stay really strong and solid and have a lot of resources behind you. Satnam.